Oh, crap. Hi, y'all. I'm so sorry. I'm not paying attention. We're waiting on Brother Sanchez. So I will say, you guys, on the upside, I did announce this live many, many hours before I did it. I just didn't pop up. Now, sadly, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, maybe 3 hours late, but better late than never. Okay, I'm going to look at the chat on my phone just because it's easier. I do have my keyboard, but yeah, I don't know about that life. So we're just waiting for Brother Sanchez. He said he's ready for it, so I'm really interested to hear this. Okay, oh, hi, Thor. Hi, Frantonio. Hi, the real Aaron. All right, I'm sorry. I'm going to stop being funny. All right, y'all. So we're going to have Brother Sanchez on. If I could get him to, let me tell him to come on, Brother Sanchez. Come on. I just was talking to him. So I'm sorry that this live is late, you guys. But I am looking forward to tonight's build. Oh, he's serious. Okay, hold on. Let me send this. So I just did a panel with O'Shea. If you guys haven't seen that, you should watch the playback on that. And I hopped on Nyla's panel yesterday, and that was really good as well. She also had a show earlier in the day, and I like that one too. Now I'm going to try to drag Brother Sanchez. Let me send him the link again. All right. Sorry, you guys. I know it's rude to text and chat, but I am. I'm trying. I meant to text and chat Brother Sanchez to tell him to come on over, that I'm ready for him, even though I'm late. But let me find him. Okay, let me do it on my computer, you guys. All right, I'm going to send him the link again. Hold on. Let me do that. Oh, maybe it's a new link. Oh, let me just do this. Wonder if it's a different link when... Okay. All right, I'll do that.
Hey, what's good?
Oh, okay. Was it a different link? Oh, whoa. What the heck?
Well, yeah, this the one that you just sent me on the.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You know, I'm slow to catch up, man. I was like, maybe I sent him the wrong link. Maybe I need to send him a new link. So I'm glad I did that. All right, awesome. I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited because I know nothing about Flat Earth. We can talk about some other stuff, but I really want to talk about Flat Earth. I hope you don't mind.
Not at all.
Awesome, because I got questions, man. I have questions. I didn't write them down, but they're all up here.
Okay.
Can we get right into it?
You know what? Yeah, we can. And let me just say thank you for, reaching out, having an interest, and allowing me on your platform, because this subject, a lot of Black YouTube ain't really don't want to talk about Flat Earth. So it is a growing movement. There's a lot of our brothers and sisters who are Flat Earthers, and I'm glad, Irene, that you took interest. So I want to just thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so let's start with why, because I know that it used to be a prevalent theory that the earth was flat. And then we started moving into the modern age where people believe that it's a sphere. So I guess I want to start with what would be the purpose of trying to deceive people into believing that the earth is a sphere when it is truly flat?
Well, one thing we got to understand is that flat earth was never a belief or a theory. Flat earth was always the fact. And like you said, a belief of a globe is just that. It's a belief for the fact that we got to believe the people who said, well, hey, we went to space, we went to the moon, we took a picture of it, here it go. But what happened when we prove all of those pictures are fake? Then we have no real picture of Earth. We only have a belief system in the globe, and me, part of growing and becoming enlightened is to have less beliefs and more facts. So that's what led me into flat earth. I just want to start there. What would be the main motive to, lie about the shape of the earth to people? Well, when you start studying ancient cosmology and symbolism, you realize that the shape of the earth is an ancient patent. Let's say that again to the people who are in the chat room who don't know how deep this may be. The shape of the earth is a symbol, and it's one of the most consistent symbols on earth. And it's called a Kananga by the Dogon, and it's called the Tree of Life by the Mayan. And as a symbol, it's called an Adinkra by our West African Yoruban brothers, and so many more. We can go into it for days, which I have. But when you study this symbol, you realize this is the symbol that Nikola Tesla used to create free energy. So the shape of the earth leads you to a symbol that show you how to create infinite energy upon the earth. I'm gonna say that again. The shape of the earth is a symbol, and by studying that symbol, one unlocked the secrets of Tesla technology, magnetic levitation, and so much more. So it's not that they're necessarily hiding the shape of the earth. They got to hide the shape of the earth in order to sell you energy, because if everyone knew the shape of the earth, we'll understand why that's so important. How that tied to electromagnetism. I'm a nerd, Irene. So, this type of talk, I'm trying to water it down, but you start studying.
No, don't water it down. Like, go there, because we have to allow people to hear information that elevates their train of thought. So don't water it down, but try to give it to us, give the points that will allow people to go out and seek the information if they want to.
Okay. So yeah, one thing we need to realize is that with the globe comes the idea of what? Global warming, overpopulation control, not enough resources. With the globe belief becomes the idea of scarcity. Now, when you study what the ancients taught about the earth, they said we live on an infinite plane, and what surrounds us is a magnetic dome. And they personified it as in Egypt as Nut. And NASA called this the Van Allen belts. They said we can't go beyond those belts, which means that's why they don't have a real picture of Earth, because you got to go beyond those belts to get the picture of the blue ball. So if NASA telling us we haven't been beyond the Van Allen belts, but yet they giving you pictures of the Earth, that ought to make you scratch your head and say, how the hell y'all get these pictures if you ain't been out there? Well, the pictures are computer generated images, and they admitted that, but no one has been interested enough in this grand deception but flat earthers. What we got to realize, Irene, first of all, let me ask you a quick question, sister.
Okay.
Do you look to politics as a viable arena to solve the problems of the people?
No.
So when you talk about conservatives and liberals and left versus right, you don't really get in all of that, huh?
No, I'm not. I talk about it, but I'm not on the left or the right. Yeah. I think we need a completely different system.
I'm definitely with you on that. Now, do you agree that the government do have a lot of programs and things in effect that isn't to our advantages just to their advantage?
Yes, I believe the government's heavy on propaganda and control.
And that's what I want to share with you, because one of their most lucrative programs, besides the war programs, of course, and the wars that both sides are funding, is the space program. Now, a lot of our people don't know that NASA is taking $70 million every day from your children. That's on Sundays too. Now you do the math, 70 million times 365. That's how much money the space program is getting from you every year. And all they got to do is show you fake pictures and a green screen. This is what got me into flat earth, because I started realizing they had so many reasons to lie about the shape of the earth. Once you start studying the shape of the earth, you learn how to create your own energy systems. I'm teaching that on my channel. I'm teaching people how to build their own energy systems, and you can build your own energy device for like $500. You can be self-sustained. This is ancient shit that the ancients used to power their villages. Now, they taught us that our ancient ancestors didn't have electricity. They didn't have no technology. Like you said earlier, you said as people advanced and we started believing in the globe, well, we didn't advance. We've been de-evolving for the past 7,000 years. That's why they got a movie called Back to the Future. And in that movie, they're actually getting into magnetic levitation. That is important because they wrote our ancestors out of history, Irene, by calling them aliens. So when you go on Nat Geo and all of this stuff, they got the ancient aliens, and aliens built the pyramids, aliens did this, because they don't want to say, hey man, black people were smart as hell back in the day. Our ancestors had electrical systems. Hey, Tesla did not invent none of this stuff that they bringing back out today with the Tesla technology. Tesla learned this stuff from our ancient shamanistic ancestors. What Bro Sanchez do is I give our people back our cosmology, Irene. Now, can you agree with me that when we talk about black people or African people, that we really don't know much about our ancestors? Can we agree with that?
Yes, I can agree with that. We don't know much.
You agree with me that when we talk about black people or African people, that we really don't know much about our ancestors? Can we agree with that? Got a little echo going.
Yes, I can agree with that. Oh, wait. That's my fault. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's just, we don't know what made our ancestors so great. We think that they was great because they built the pyramids, but the secret is they don't know how the pyramids were built. And that's what made our ancestors great, was how they built them. And they built them with magnetic levitation. They built them with what I call magnetic crane systems. I've been studying electromagnetism for a while now. And what I can tell you is that our ancients are very much more smart than what they're telling us. And since we don't know how great our ancestors were, all of their ancient patents and things that made them great, we're buying it today instead of learning how to do it. So black people buy their children PlayStations, but other people teach their children how to build PlayStations. And that's what I'm in the business of doing. I'm in the business of upgrading my people beyond politics, beyond arguing about white man this, white man that, and getting you to thinking on a white man level. But unfortunately, black people call you a nerd when you go try to teach them about diametric inertial planes and hyperboloids and AC and DC currents. No nigga want to hear that. They want to hear about, man, Kanye West tripping, ain't he? Did you see what Kanye West did? And I'd be like, hey man, forget all that. Let me show you what Tesla did and how they ruling you and why you got to pay for energy. That's what, and that's what flat earth is.
Yeah, I think people in general are bred to enjoy distraction over knowledge. And in the Black community, I think that's amplified because we actually view knowledge as a weakness. We view intelligence as a weakness and we attack it. And we see it in our people. So that's a good point that you make. Somebody in the comment was asking if you want to elaborate, if you can elaborate on just some of the energy stuff, how it's created, things like that.
Mm-hmm. I want to screen share if you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can find a couple of, because I want to go into detail.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, just give me a second to pull this up for you guys. All right. Share my screen. There we go. Can you see?
Yes.
All right. And I'm going to pull up the flat earth conception that the ancients had. Now, what we're looking at now is the flat earth model of the earth, which makes way more sense than the globe. We could talk about this, but someone wanted to know about the energy. Let's talk about that because I want to show y'all this visually. Here's a Hebrew conception of the cosmos. These are the most ancient conceptions on earth. What you see here is how you get the Pepsi Cola symbol and the yin yang symbol. All right, so we know that water can't hold the shape of a ball, but if you look at this image, this makes a whole bunch more sense than, us being on the surface of balled up water, holding the shape of a ball. You can't reduplicate that kind of science. That's why it's all theoretical, because it's held together by a theory called gravity, which is the glue for that big ass lie called space programming.
Can you click on the picture so it's a little bit bigger? If you click on it, if you click view photo.
Oh, okay. View image. Let me do that real quick. Open image. Open image in new tab. Boom.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right. There we go. And then what I'm gonna do, so I want you to get this in your mind. When you talk about waters above and waters, don't really look at this as water. This is personified as water, but this outside area, this firmament represents a magnetic energy field. Now, this may be going over some of y'all head, but I'm gonna do this right here so we can get a visual of what we actually looking at. All right, here's a good one, but unfortunately, this one is kind of small right here. Let me find another one, and I'm gonna show you guys what we're talking about here with the flat earth science and the ancient truth. If I can find this doggone, I tell you what, let's do this. Let's do this. I can pull it up this way. Thank y'all for being patient too. I didn't think I was gonna have to pull too much of this stuff up, but it's all good. All right, I'm gonna just go with this one. And we're going to open this in a new tab since you wanted me to blow it up. That actually made it smaller.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right, this is a good one, great. This one is huge, cool. All right, we see this symbol in front of us, the red bowl kissing the blue bowl.
Yes.
Okay, this is called a magnetic energy field, a torus field. This is invisible, but this is surrounding everything in creation. This is what we call an aura. That's why the word Taurus is the word Horus. When you take the T off, there was a god in Egypt by the name of Horus or Horus, and he represents this magnetic energy field. That was I'm gonna show you why this is so important. You see, you have an opening here and an opening here, and they both look like trumpets, right? These two trumpets became the two cupids, the cupid symbol. So this stuff is ancient stuff that they, been hot flashing the symbols around us, not telling us what it is. These two trumpets stuck together create what's called a holy grail and also the hourglass, because what I'm about to teach you right now is the secrets of creation, how the pyramids was built and all that good stuff. The ground we walking on is right here where red meets blue. Now, when you try to stick two magnets together, there's a small little energy field in between those magnets, what will make it seem hard to stick them together. You know what I'm talking about, sister?
Yes.
That is the space in between the ground and the heavens. We're walking in a small slit called on this plane that we call reality, and it's the magnetic energy field of the heavens and the ground. So you got positive and negative of what became in religion, heaven and hell, God and devil. But there was never a war between them. There was a unity between them. See, what I'm giving you is deep ancient science. What we live in a world today is divide and conquer. They divided these two symbols from each other to create chaos and charge people for energy. So what I'm doing is trying to rush and give you a summary of thousands of years of deception right now, but I'm gonna try the best I can. The symbol we looking at now is the ancient conception of Earth. Let's go back to the Hebrew cosmos. We can see that the ancients understood magnetic energy and that they weren't no dummies drawing with crayons with little conceptions that look cool. You know, it looked beautiful, but what's the science behind it? Here it is right here. This would be the ground, this would be the sky. And when you got man and woman coming together, the child that they give birth to is what we call Earth. Everything in existence around you will cease to exist if these two, if positive one connected with negative right now. But when the religion saw our ancestors practicing magnetism, they call it magicism. The word magnet became the word magic. Let me show you something. They started killing our ancestors. Irene, do you hear me?
I hear you.
They started killing our ancestors because when they came onto the land, our ancestors was very versed in magnetism, but the invaders were not. And they saw our ancestors levitating bricks and shit to build pyramids. They saw our ancestors levitating things, and they said, hey, how are you guys moving that stuff without using your hands? And our ancestors tried to teach these foreigners about magnetism, but the foreigners didn't know about magnetism, so they called it witchcraft. They said,
explain how you would levitate a brick using magnets.
Okay, so what you would do is you would, like I was telling you earlier about magnetic cranes, everything in nature has a degree of magnetic energy to it. Everything, even the human body is a magnet. And different magnets attract or repel different things. So what we call a magnet ain't really limited to a black rock or something you find. A magnet can be anything. So now that we established that, we understand that properties of items can be altered, and you can move things around if you tap into the magnetic energy that surrounds every object. So when you say, how do you move a rock with magnetism? Understand that every rock is magnetically repulsive or magnetically attractive to something else in nature. Once you understand what you want to build, for example, a pyramid out of which type of rock, you would build a magnetic energy field that would attract that particular stone.
So that would be high power, right?
Say that again. Let me show you something right quick. Let me see if I can find this real quick to give you. I didn't hear your question.
I was saying that would be a very high-powered magnet, wouldn't it? Because I agree with you that there's a level of magnetism in all objects, but for that to be reactive, sort of like in the diagram, in the photo you just show, and I do magnetic tests with my girls here at the house. You would need a very, very high-powered magnet, right? Because the magnetism of certain objects is so low, which is why we don't see attraction. Or is it the type of magnets we're using? I guess that's where I'm trying to go with that. Like, do you choose the type of magnet, or does it have to be very high-powered? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's not really about high-powered or lower-powered as it is compatibility. So, yeah, water is magnetically attractive or repulsive to different magnetic energy fields. And that was an experiment done by a young man where he actually made a boat sail without touching it by just showing you that magnetic energy is invisible, but it's very real. When you understand what magnetic energy is, you will see how it's very easy to manipulate elements around you with magnetism. Now, they took this knowledge and put it into the comic books, into characters like Magneto and all that. But this is what they literally saw our ancestors doing. So what you would need to do to manipulate, like I was saying, take a look at the picture in front of you. Magnetic energy is nothing but vibration. So, for example, Irene, when you look at a picture like this of this little ball levitating, you know why it's able to levitate? Because there's a vibrational energy field beneath it, and in between this,
you can actually feel it when you do magnetic testing. You can feel that energy field.
Exactly. So, for example, something like this, right? If you was to drop this from a building, it'll land just like you see it here. It wouldn't make a noise, and all of the tension would be immediately absorbed. Magnetic energy is the biggest absorber of inertia. So they're stopping subways with magnets in Asia. They powering their whole subway system with magnets. You don't need gas when you understand what magnets are. You can put a magnet in the head of your subway, and you can have checkpoints with big ass magnets just pulling the train around. So why don't they want us to know about magnetic energy? Because we wouldn't have to pay for gas if everyone was using magnetic propulsion. So there's a lot why they're hiding this, but it's coming back around, and ancient secrets coming back through flat earth. But what I want to explain to you about pyramid building and all of that with magnetism, that's where it get interesting. I want to show you something real quick.
Before you go on to that, can I just ask you, NBA Unloaded asked, he has a question, and I'm sure you can probably answer it pretty quickly. It says, if the earth is flat, wouldn't the sun set on all the continents at the same time? Somebody said it wasn't a good question, but all questions are good questions. If we don't know about this, all we can do is ask. That's why Brother Sanchez is here.
Mm-hmm.
So why doesn't the sun set in all places at the same time?
Why doesn't the sun set in all places at the same time?
Yeah, he's saying if the earth is flat, wouldn't we all have the same perception of the sun, I think is what he's asking.
No, we wouldn't. Let me show you something. We'll get off magnetism for just a second, and I'll go ahead and answer this question.
Thank you.
So think of a quarter on a table, like the picture in front of you. Can you see that?
Yes.
If I started moving that quarter down the table, it would start to disappear from the bottom up, right?
What are you asking?
I'm saying if this guy moved the quarter down the table toward the wall in the background, you would start to see the quarter disappear from the bottom up, because the table, the horizon line or the table line would start to hide the bottom of this quarter as he pushes it back. You understand convergence?
I understand what you're saying, but it's hard for me to visualize that. Is there a way?
Well, yeah, we can actually go to this video real quick.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of people may be like, well, yeah, I get it, but I want to see it, doggone it. Here we go. So you put a quarter on the table. Simple observation. Now, when he move it back, watch how the quarter vanishes from the bottom up. If he'll hurry up and move it back and quit talking. Boom. You see?
Yes.
Now, the further back he move it, the less of the bottom we're going to be able to see, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, let's keep that in mind, and let's think about the sun. This is exactly what we see when the sun is so-called setting and going down. We see it just like that quarter on the table. So
is it rotating? I think there's some confusion in the chat. Well, Marcus says he's saying the earth is rotating the quarter.
The earth is rotating the quarter?
I don't know. I think he's confused or I'm
But
misunderstanding.
yeah, he's very confused because what he's trying to do is apply globe Earth logic to flat Earth truth, and it's not going to match the opposite. It'll be like me saying, "Hey, the globe Earth is perfectly still." That's not true. The globe Earth teaches that it spins, so I would be wrong. I would be applying the wrong math to the wrong model. And
so then what is the movement of the sun that we see? Like, I get the idea of why it looks like it's setting and it looks different in different places. So what is the sun doing if we are not rotating around the sun? Are we rotating around the sun? Like, how does that work?
All right, good question. I like these questions.
I'm glad because it's a teaching moment for us all.
I'm so glad that the atmosphere here is the way it is because it ain't no debating. It's no crazy stuff I get to ask these. And shout out to everybody in the chat room because this is what's up. You know, whether you agree with flat Earth or not, your interest is what's up. You know, so this is a simple model to show you how the sun and moon are on a circuit above the flat Earth. The Earth is stationary, it does not move, but the heavens move. And that's what all of the ancients said. They said the Earth is at the center of the universe. It's a plane, immovable, still, motionless, but that the heavens are in motion above us. And it's like a big sky clock. Like the base of the clock don't move, but the hour hand, minute hand, and the little second hand, that moves. But what if you had a watch on your arm and the damn bottom part of the watch was moving with the hour hand and minute hand? You wouldn't be able to tell time. So something have to be still. There have to be something still and some moving to have a reference point. That's the yin and the yang, movement and stillness. The earth plane is a grounding point. That's why when you put electrical devices in the wall, they have to be grounded, right, to that which is still and to ground that current. So when you look at the flat earth and you see the sun and moon on the left and right, in the middle is a pole. And if you look at a wall, Jack, you will see left and right and down at that grounding point gonna be at the bottom. It's gonna look like a triangle. You plug stuff in the wall every day. That's sun and moon, North Pole, when you plug it in the wall. So you got the same thing in the flat earth model. This unlocks all the secrets of creation and also get the gender roles in place, because man is sun, woman is moon. But what they got in the NASA conceptions is the sun dominating the entire cosmos, and that's a form of patriarchal rule, male Hellenist that took over the world about 7,000 years ago. But what we're looking at with this sun and moon model above flat earth is the yin yang symbol. Perfect balance, 50-50. The sun and moon are the same size, and one is a lesser light, one is a greater light. One is
Anthony Brian Logan has two questions. Maybe you can answer them. He said,
yes,
if the sun and
let me just say this before he
okay, yes, of course.
So as the sun move above your head and go on its circuit around you, it takes its light away with it. Now, if you wake up in the morning and watch the sun before it hit noon, you will see the sun small on the horizon as it come toward you. And when you would notice at noon time when it's over your head, that it's hot as hell and the sun is big as hell over your head. Now, as the sun go away from you, it leaves you in the dark cold. And you can feel it taking its heat away. It's not going over a curve. It's actually leaving out of your line of sight, just like this quarter ain't going over a curve. If you get in something high and raise up, the bottom part of that quarter come back in view. I've been on an airplane, and what you calling the sun going over a curve is a damn lie, because if you get up in the plane, you can follow the sun. You will never see it going over a curve, and a plane will never follow it and nosedive with it over a curve. I've done this. I flew plenty of times. I had 2 birthdays because of this. All right. When I was in Korea coming back to America. But that's another story. I think we understand what convergence is. Like if I go outside and look down the street, I can't see the corner store that's 5 blocks down. But if I get in my car and drive, it'll come into view. There are no curves in Nevada. It's flat as hell. So what's hiding the corner store from me? The fact that my eyes are not binoculars, people, you can't fucking see forever. Go ahead.
The person that asked the question, NBA Unloaded, you explained it pretty well. He said he does understand it now. And Anthony Brian Logan just had, I think, 3 questions, and you could probably answer them all together.
Okay, but before you ask him, can I get 10 seconds? I'm going to go in here and grab a cup of water. Hold a second.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, you guys, I'll entertain you while Brother Sanchez is gone. So I think this is an interesting discussion. All of this information is new to me. I don't know anything about Flat Earth, but I know that on Brother Sanchez's channel, it's one of the things that he's known for, which is why I thought it would be great to bring it here and just introduce it to a new group of people. And I know we have some Flat Earthers in the chat room. And I encourage you guys to ask questions. That's why he's here. If it goes a bit long, then I can always do a part 2 if you guys are interested. But I think he's doing a really good job at explaining the theories. And I think a lot of your questions will help flush out a lot of information that maybe wouldn't come up if there wasn't like a back and forth discussion. So I encourage you guys to ask questions. And as he's explaining it, I'll try to draw his attention to your questions because I don't think he's really looking at the chat. I think he's focused on the information that's on the screen. And I just want to apologize again, you guys, for this being several hours late.
You know what? Let me also apologize to them for that because
His fault.
It was my fault. I take all the blame because I got caught up in this dang old Vegas traffic. And it's crazy, you know, the Raiders will be out here in 2020 and I'm complaining about traffic now. When them Raiders get out here, you ain't gonna be able to go nowhere. You know, but back on subject. Let me stay on subject.
Can I give you, okay, I'm gonna give you his questions. I'm gonna just give you all 3 of them and I can repeat them if you need me to. His first question is, if the sun and moon revolve around the earth, and I think you're really saying they revolve above the earth, not around the earth, right?
Correct.
And why doesn't the sun also revolve around the other planets that have moons that revolve around them? So do you I understand what he's asking. Do you understand the question?
I totally understand it. And I'm going to tell you like this, what you're calling other planets, the ancestors called them wandering stars. And I'll show you a little bit about that now. Okay. The ancestors said that there are many planes of existence around us.
And can I give you his other question? Because I think you'll probably be able to remember it because it's an easy one. He wants to know if the earth is flat, why has no one fallen off, and where is the
hold on. I thought it was going to be relevant to the first question. Let me do them one at a time. Okay, I'll shoot through them quick then. So the first one about the planets and their moons and all of that, he was saying if the earth is flat and if the sun and moon is behaving the way we see in this demonstration here, and if it's so, what I'm saying is so, then why isn't it so, so to speak, for the other planets that we see out there? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good question. Good question. Let me show you what those other planets look like, what you're talking about. So you can see that these are not physical things you can land on. All of the stars and lights you see in the sky has no physicality to them. They are floating up there because it's just light. And the word light means weightless, not just something that shines. So light is light, meaning it don't have a weight. Have you ever tried to weigh some light? All right, light left is actually you know, excuse me, I'm all over the place here. The twinkling lights we see in the sky are actually some of them are openings in what the ancients called a firmament dome, and the 7 wandering stars are actually the sun and moons for other planes of existence. So Irene, this stuff, I'm trying to rush through it, but the questions can really be, each question has about hours and hours of video content for that question. It can go on forever. But what I'm trying to do is
Brother Sanchez, is it possible to answer the questions in brief here? And if you're comfortable, we can pick some of them and do other ones just on specific topics.
Oh yeah, we can do it however you want to do it. I don't need nothing but like what 3 to 5 minutes per question, if that could.
Okay. No, that's fine. Yeah, like I want to answer everybody's questions, but then maybe if there are some that can be expounded on, we can follow up, like, in another one-on-one about those. So we can answer them now and then answer them in more depth later.
Yeah, because I definitely want to continue this with you. Actually, this is good energy over here, and I do these flat earth podcasts on a lot of people's channel, and this one just going pretty smooth. So I appreciate you again. And just to wrap this question up for ABL, if you look at this picture in front of you, this is just a little conception of what the ancestors said we live in. Now, this first hole would be where we at, our 7 continents. We see them here with the sun and moon above us going around, just like I showed you in this image. This is where we at. Now, beyond our energy field is another world. Now, the word world is also WHIRL, world, because each of these are different whirlings of sun and moons. Now, when you go, it's like a vinyl record. Each ring is a different song, a different world, a different vibration, a different level of consciousness. This is where we get the term ecosystem. Is really an ecosystem, and the echoes get faint and faint as you move outward. And the ancestors said those are the dream worlds, the astral worlds. That's where we go in dreams. And they said that the cosmos is a ripple effect. Do you believe that? Let me show y'all something real quick. And I know I'm being long-winded on this question, but I just gotta show y'all this real quick. The plagiarization. Here's the conception of the Big Bang explosion. If you look at it, it is a ripple effect with a bunch of rings around it. And they stole this from the ancients, this ring system. But just to answer ABL, the 7 wandering stars are there because the ancestors said there are 7 planes of existence and 7 heavens. I'm about to wrap this question up now, Irene. I'm about to wrap it up now. I'm very thorough, so I know I got to tackle all this stuff. So if you look at this, there are 7 different atmospheres or layers to the sky. And each one of these skies is a different sky for a different plane of existence. Each one connect down to a different plane beyond it. So when you look at each of these rings, each of them have their own different sky separating. This ring around it is where our sky ends and their sky begins. And each one is interconnected that way.
So where are the planets sitting? Like when you show, I like the one that has all the rings and they're really visible. Where are the planets exactly?
All right, good.
We're viewing them and it's really light. It's not something tangible. So where do the planets that we perceive, where are they sitting?
I was getting to that now. So if you look in the middle of here, we got sun, moon, and this dark object. That's what causes eclipses. There's a dark object that they don't tell us about. Actually, 2 of them. They call them the lunar nodes, but it's actually Rahu and Ketu. They are shadow celestial objects. They are the shadow being bodies, and that's what causes eclipses. But what we're talking about, these 7 planets or 7 wandering stars, they're here, Irene. When you talk about Mercury, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, and all them different lights in the sky, those are the sun and moons of other planes of existence. So when
and the further away they are, the dimmer that they look.
Yeah. So what we call it Mars and the outer planets, they can all be linked up as the sun and moons. Basically, the suns and moons of other planes of existence are what we call in the wandering stars. That's why we see those moving. But the rest of the stars never move because they are just actually openings in the dome. And I'm going to show you what that looked like, and we can go to the next question. In the Egyptian conception of Earth, you see they got the stars inside of the sky goddess Nut body. There's actually openings in the magnetic dome that allow light to enter and escape. And we see it as the fixed stars, but the wandering stars are actually the suns and moons going around other planes of existence, the wandering stars.
So you're saying that we use the term planets, but when we speak about flat Earth, only the moving objects are so-called planets, and those are really suns and moons. And the fixed so-called planets are not what we perceive as planets or even rotating bodies. They are just breaks in the various firmaments that allow us to see the light that's shining through, and we are just dubbing them planets.
The word planets was never a plural word because the only planet is Earth. And the word can be broken down through etymology, right? And the way you break it down with etymology is to understand that it's two words. Planet is the word plane and net. I'm going to say it again, so this ought to clear up some confusion. Planet is the word plane and net. Let's look at Egyptian cosmology. Geb represents the plane, and net or Nut represent the sky dome. Now, everyone on Earth is able to look up and see Polaris. That would be possible on the globe. All right, that'll only be possible on flat Earth. Now, what we're talking about, the planets in the sky, what I'm calling wandering stars, is just what they are. You can't call them a planet and say that you can land on them because here are the pictures of them right here. This is, see, you got the people that's asking these questions. I don't know if they own telescopes. Most of us flat earthers, we are fucking nerds. And I got a high powered telescope. I live in the mountains and I go up to the mountains and watch the stars. And I can tell you that what we're looking at is not no physical place you can land. If you look at this twinkling light, now they got a song telling you about the stars. If you listen to the song, it's telling you the truth. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Have you ever seen a big rock shining? Think about this, right? Let me just get y'all to see how we've been dumbed down. Let's show you a picture of the moon. Now you see the moon lit up bright in the sky. You see the moon bright, but yet they tell you when you land on it, it's dark, gray, and dull. What's the physics behind that? There is none. This is still.
They say it's reflecting the sun.
They said that it's reflecting the sun, but how much sense does that make? Because I'm gonna show you something right now. Let me show you something. Show you something. I got a perfect example that show you how moonlight reflect off of a sphere, and you will see that our moon is not reflecting sunlight. Look at this picture in front of you, because sometimes we need pictures to take us back to just a simple way of thinking and get out of the dumbed down way of thinking that they programmed us to make this blasphemy true.
I'm not gonna lie, that picture is pretty profound, because now that I'm looking at it, that is how light reflects off of a sphere.
Not the way we see the moon all lit up. The ancestors said that the moon was its own light source, and flat earthers proved that. You know how? I don't know if anybody in the chat room done this, but we have. We have actually taken the temperature of moonlight, sister, and we found out that it's actually colder in the moonlight than it is in the moon shade. So what can we learn from that? That the moon is its own light source, and that the moonlight is actually silvery, bluish, cold light. The sunlight is the opposite. It's reddish, orangish, warm light. And the moon is the opposites. These opposites attract. This is the husband and wife that's sustaining us children called Earth right now. They're doing a dance around the pole, and if they ever stop dancing, their children would die. So when you're looking at the sun and moon, this is yin and yang. Everything trickled down to us, where the man is the sun and the woman is the moon. The moon is absorbing magnetic energy, and the sun is electrical discharge. That's why the man discharges sperm, which is spark or consciousness, and the woman absorbs it in her egg. This is night and day. And we lost this balance. We lost this balance because everything is as above, so below. And once we forget the secrets of the heavens, there's chaos on earth, because the ancestors knew that the heavens has the secret to how to govern yourself on earth. But I'm going on and on now. But
No, I just wanna I wanna go into, because people, you're sparking a lot of questions from people. So Quet Sturm, sorry. He did explain the solar and lunar eclipse. I hope you caught that. There's light, and then there's the opposite of that. And he keeps talking about yin and yang. There's also dark, and that's what we perceive as solar eclipses. And then also Anthony Brian Logan, his last things were, and I'm sure a lot of people are asking this, why has no one fallen off if the earth is flat? And where is the edge?
Okay. That's the thing. People need to understand this about flat earth. Let me go back to my ring map. Look at this ring map picture, and let's go to all right. Let me pull up this for you. Now, this is flat earth investigation. You ain't gonna get this from the people at NASA, because they fooling you, creating a curve with CGI and GoPro lenses. At 20 miles high, this is a dog cam, excuse me, and you can see a flat horizon. And if you pan that camera all the way around, you know what you're gonna see? A flat horizon. Now, here's the thing you need to realize, what everybody need to realize that's watching this. From the ground, from Mount Everest, and from 20 miles high up into the atmosphere, the horizon line is still eye level. Think with me, guys. I know they messed with our critical thinking, and I know you're dealing with a nerd like myself, but you still got some energy in that brain. Think with me, okay? How am I able to leave off the ground and be 20 miles high and still look out at the horizon line at the same height like I'm at the beach? You know why? Because you are on an infinite plane, and there is no end to the earth. There is no end to the earth. It's an infinite plane that goes on. The ancestors said there is no end to this. Now, that may be hard for some of you guys to conceive, but yet you can conceive a universe that have no end to it. See what I'm saying? NASA tell you that space has no end to it, right? And you believe them that space has no end to it. They tell you this black void is infinite darkness and it goes on forever. That's what they tell you. And they tell you that the Most High is at the edge of the universe, but they tell you that the universe is infinite. So therefore they deleted God. They deleted the creator from the creation and gave you a void of darkness with shit just clashing into each other, nothing governing it, shit going around. This is blasphemy that you're looking at. The truth is that the ground we walk on is an infinite plane, and that when they told you Columbus and them went on to find new worlds, that's exactly what they did. They left out of our world. There's openings in the ring. There's openings in these boundaries where it lets you lead out and go into other worlds of existence with their own time system. So the Mayan calendar shows you this. What they call in the Mayan calendar is the Mayan cosmos. When you look at a Mayan, let me pull it up for you real quick, because the Mayans was trying to tell you all this. The word calendar is the word cylinder. Calendar is cylinder.
So wait, if that's the case, then when you're traveling to new worlds, wouldn't you be traveling up? Because the plane itself is infinite and everything is basically above us, right? Like in a half dome?
No. What's above you is the sky, the stars, the atmosphere, the luminaries. What you walking on is a ground that's infinite, just like the sky. So the thing about it is this. Let me pull up this flat earth conception again so you can understand it. Yeah, let's use one of these. What'll be the best one to use? We'll just grab one of these Mayan models. This is an Incan cosmos. They all the same. But anyway, you're looking at one little version of the cosmos. Surrounding this egg is another dome and another ring around it. And I actually made a, I don't know if I can share my screen through the picture joint, but if I can do that, I can actually simplify this and make it short, sweet, and we can move on. I don't know how much of my screen is actually sharing, but I'm going to pull up something right now that's going to answer this with an image. Like they say, a picture worth 1,000 words. So bear with me. My computer want to kind of freeze up right now, but can you see this folder open?
Yes.
Cool. I could have been put this up. Y'all see this? You see this picture that I got up now? Of
So we're the blue, right? The blue ring.
Well, I don't know, because sometimes it don't show my photo viewer. And what I got up now is like this.
We're the center dark blue ring is what you're saying, right?
I don't know what actually you looking at though.
Oh, we're looking at like a bunch of domes in different colors and a bunch.
Okay, so we're on the same page. Yeah, there you go. You got it right. We're the one right in the middle. And
what is that thing? Because that ties into a question somebody else was asking about hollow Earth. Is that tube down the middle what people call the hollow part of the Earth?
Yeah, this is actually an opening. This would be like the hole in the middle of a donut.
Okay.
So if you was looking at a donut, it would be a hole in the middle of the donut. But if you was walking inside of the donut, it wouldn't be a hole, it'll be a pole. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's why we call it the North Pole. We're actually living in a donut. And it's at what we're calling Polaris is the opening or the central point, what they call the vault of heaven. And when you talk about magnetism, this all tie into magnetism. But before I show you how, I wanted to pull this up to show you guys, here are all the stars, moons. Like our sun and moon is going around this middle ball right here. And behind it, beyond ours, is a sun and moon going around this second ring too. It has its own sun and moon. And beyond that, that one has its own sun and moon. And the further out you go, each dome has its own sun and moon going around the ring below it to give night and day to the people below. Now, the people on the way outer ring, it take their night and day longer than the people on the inner rings. All right, we understand about the simplicity of that, right? The farther out you go, the longest your days and nights going to be. Now, the crazy thing about all of this is that what you're calling planets, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, these are just the suns and moons of other worlds. And we can see that from our world. We can see those wandering stars, sun and moons of those other worlds. And what we're calling the fixed stars are just openings in the Skynet where light is escaping and entering, just like we see here. Very simple. They took this stuff and they corrupted it. And this make more sense than a globe ever will. When you talk about an infinite plane, that's what we're talking about here, not a vacuum of space that's infinite, housing a bunch of bodies without foundations. If we create with foundations, then the Most High is smart enough to build with foundations. So this concept of space with a bunch of shit just hurling around, clashing into each other, it makes the creator look like a fool.
Okay, so this has come up a few times in the chat. People are asking about satellites. How is that? How are we launching satellites? Where are they launching to? Are they not traveling, around? Like, what is with satellites? Many people have brought that up in the chat.
You know what satellites are right now. Show you what satellites are real quick, so you don't make no mistake about it. And thank y'all for being patient. Here's your satellites right here, people. Here go your satellites right here. This is why they covering up all these towers with trees. This is your damn satellites. Want me to tell you how you know satellites are bullshit? But see, that's why I'm so happy I'm a flat earther, because critical thinking is key. Now check this out. I'm gonna show y'all something. How you can debunk satellites and then prove them. And then prove that satellites are just ground towers. I got a whole video about this. Let's pull this picture up. Now they show us pictures like this of all these thousands of satellites surrounding the Earth. Now let's pull up another one. Y'all got to see how ridiculous this is. You got to ask yourself, after what I'm going to show you today, you're a fool if you still believe in satellites. And remember, it is a belief, and science shouldn't be about beliefs. Now look at this picture in front of you and look at how stupid this is. Look at this, y'all. Look at this. Look at all of these satellites they say is around the Earth. Yet when you go outside at night and look at a full moon, you ain't never saw a satellite cross by the moonlight in your life. If you go outside and cut your porch light on and just sit outside, shit, mathematically, you should see a bug cross the damn porch light. Just dealing with mathematics. In the South, if you got your porch light on every now and then, you'll see a bug go across there. Just mathematics. Now, we got that many satellites surrounding the Earth. Why ain't nobody never saw a satellite pass past the moon? Furthermore, I'm not done yet. Look at the picture in front of you of all the satellites surrounding Earth. But now let's look at astronauts in space. And I want to ask y'all a question. Where the hell are all them satellites at? Where the hell are all them satellites at? It should be satellites all in the background.
That's actually true. I'm sorry. That's a really good point.
Now listen, I'm going to show you what else is a good point when you want to debunk it from a technical level. Look at all of these satellites they set surrounding the globe, Irene. Guess what, Irene?
Yeah.
I live in a desert, and my family in Nevada, we like to go out to the mountains every now and then. Guess what, Irene? We can't get phone service in the mountains. Now, if there was a bunch of satellites surrounding the Earth 360 degrees everywhere you fucking look, you will be able to get service every fucking where on Earth. Think about this, Irene. Think about this. I'm finna show y'all how they lying to you. You finna laugh when I show you this. You finna actually bust out laughing when I show you this.
I'm sorry, guys, but that satellite thing, that's a good point, because we see a lot of pictures of space, of the Earth in space, and you never see all these satellites. That is actually a good point. I can't lie.
That's because space.
That's a remedially good point.
But look, and just drive it home and wrap it up with this point. Think about this, my sister. President Nixon made a phone call to the moon, and that was what? When was that? The 70s, 60s? What was that when Nixon was in office? You gotta help me out. That was the 60s going into the 70s. Now, think about what I'm saying to you, my sister Irene. We got 5G cell phones today, iPhones and all that shit. But this was a 1969 landline phone with the fucking rotary dial. You know that you remember them, my sister?
Yes.
The rotary dial. This man wants you to believe that he made a phone call to the moon millions of years away. Excuse me, I'm exaggerating. Let me get the facts straight. They want you to believe that they made a phone call to the moon, which is 250,000 miles away. They want you to believe they talked to astronauts on the moon with a damn rotary phone and that the signal was crystal clear. Now, Irene, we didn't have satellites then. If he could make a phone call to the moon on a damn rotary phone and get clear reception, why can't I go to the mountains and get clear reception if they telling me we got this many goddamn satellites surrounding the Earth?
So that's a good point, because, and anybody who's called overseas knows this, when you try to call overseas and both people are on landlines, I know this doesn't happen often, it's very hard to make that connection. It's hard to make a cell phone connection, like you were saying. In some areas, you can't. Even in parts of my house, I can't get cell phone.
I gotta
really real.
I gotta cut you off because I want to tell you why. why don't we get service in all of these areas? Why? Because I'm showing you right now. This shit is a grid system of towers. And when you leave out of the location of one of these towers, your service is going to be horrible. These cell phone companies been scamming the people for years, charging y'all for satellite technology, and it's just towers on the ground. If you take your ass to the mountains, your phone gonna break up like mine. So you can pay more for the satellite technology, but it's still ground towers. That's why we can't get service everywhere. And if we had satellites, guess what? We'll be able to get service everywhere, because no matter where you go, it'll be a satellite above you, just like this picture shows.
Okay, let's see if we can address Robbie Blue. You wish you could call in. Robbie, just put your question in and I will try to. I wish I knew how to do a call in. This would probably be a great opportunity for that.
I actually can
Anthony Brian Logan is the question man. He wants to know if the earth is flat, why are the firmaments circles? But I think I told him they're domes, not circle.
That's a good question. The earth is flat, not the domes. That's an easy one. That's an easy one. The earth is flat and not the domes. That's why. He said, if the earth is flat, why ain't the domes flat? Because they ain't. I mean, that's why we call it an atmosphere. All right, because it is a sphere. So when you talk flat earth, we're not anti-globe. Let me just show him something real quick and we can move to the next question.
While you're looking up that, George Lopez wants us to digress back to the satellites because he says there are only 3,700 satellites. George, where are you getting that number from? And he says that explains why we don't ever see them in pictures, basically.
Yeah, well, if he telling me there are only 3,700 satellites, he's gonna have to argue with NASA and the people who showing us thousands of damn satellites. He say there's only 3,700. I mean, shit, this picture, first of all, that don't make no sense. It got to be more than 3,700 to cover a globe that's 24,000 miles in diameter. You can't have 3,700 satellites cover the entire globe. If the globe was real, you would need a hell of a lot more satellites than that to have a global satellite program, what they're saying. So 3,700 just wouldn't cut it, bro. I'm sorry. You're going to need more than 3,700 satellites to cover a damn ball. That's 20.
I see he Googled it in the first Google result. If you do the math, it comes to 3,700. But if you look down in your Google result, there is another number that says 4,635. So I think this is something where we have to go to NASA's site, and I will do that and research it so we can get a firm number, because I can see we can't always go with the first information in a Google search, you guys. Wait, I want you guys to see me. When you're doing a Google search, where he got that number from was Talking Points memo from Ideal Lab. We want to try to stick with official sources because we need to know what the official sources are claiming. So that is the first Google result. But if you just go right below that, there's a discrepancy because that one says 4,635. And I'm going to dig while Brother Sanchez answers the question. But Google has made us feel like experts in all things, but we have to dig a little deeper than just the initial Google search so that we can reach some real numbers. So I'm going to try to do that. Some of you guys in the chat try to do that, and maybe we can.
Well, here's the thing. However many numbers they tell us is what we believe. Again, this is not science. It's not science, because if you go to NASA and they say, hey, it's 5,000 satellites, then you're going to say, okay, it's 5,000. What if they say, well, we got to correct that number, it's 4,000. Okay, it's 4,000. You won't know how many satellites up there till you go up there and count them. Until the end, you just believe in somebody. And the root word of believe is lie. L-I-E, be lied to, be lie.
Well, I also want to just point out on NASA's website, and I'm looking at it now, if we just put the satellites aside, they talk about satellites that have been destroyed and just general debris in space.
Yeah.
And it literally is in the hundreds of thousands just for small debris. And then, there's several, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of other sizes of debris as well. And again, if we throw in the satellites, let's just say we say 5,000 is a good number. This is literally hundreds of thousands of things orbiting the Earth.
Oh yeah.
Possibly millions of things that are supposed to be there that we're also not seeing in those pictures. So just to play devil's advocate, just something to think about.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad you pointed it out, my sister. Not to mention all the things you just brought up, but there are some other things that they talk about called micrometeoroids. Micrometeoroids are small fragments of rock from different comets. They may be the size of microscopic particles, like a needle tip that you can't see with the naked eye. They call them micrometeoroids. They said space is full of micrometeoroids. And every angle and direction, these things are coming at speeds that double the speed of a bullet of small dust particles and micrometeoroids. We never see these astronauts get hit by micrometeoroids or space debris. And you, like you said, it's millions of items out there. Now, sister, when you drive down the highway, mathematically, it's gonna be a fucking bug every now and then that smash on your windshield.
True, true. Ooh, and I've lived in the country and it gets nasty.
Yeah, that's simple mathematics because there's so many bugs in the sky. One gonna smash on you eventually when you're driving in the street. You're gonna have to clean them off your windshield. This has never happened in the history of astronaut travel. Have we saw a rock or some space debris hit this man, or just fly by, or just go in the background? Mathematically impossible.
Okay. All right. Continue on with your point, and I'll interject when I see some other things in the chat to answer.
The whole point about satellites is pointless because this is nothing we can reach a factual conclusion to unless we go up there and count them. What we can do is use critical thinking like me and you just did, sister, to prove that we've been lied to, not only about satellites, but space debris, micrometeoroids, and all of that, because they never factor that into their travels. We never see these things. They just had a car in space. Did you see that crazy stuff? The car in space?
No, I don't watch TV.
Yeah, this is actually science, so I deal with it. Now, this was something they spending our tax money on. That's why I look at it. They spending millions of your tax money, sister, to do shit like this, to put cars in space. Like, woo, who gives a damn? And it's all CGI. You know what happened when they put this car in space? The doggone camera glitched. Because what's behind him is a green screen with the globe being green screen. But what happened is they had a green screen glitch during the live streaming, and people took pictures of it. Here it is right here. This was the green screen glitch. This happened live. They said they was in space with a car in space, and then for about 10 seconds, the green screen.
Is there any video of that?
Yeah, it's a live video where Flat Earthers got it all.
Can we watch it?
Huh?
Can we watch it?
Well, yeah, let me go ahead and pull that up real quick.
Okay.
Hopefully we can find a little short one real quick. Yeah, they was trying to fake it, man, fake this car in space, and the damn equipment messed up and told on them. I got this muted, but here's the actual, I'm gonna pause it for a second. This is a 14-second video. What you're gonna see is this was during the live. When I hit play, you're gonna see him moving like they on a globe, but then you're gonna see a glitch. Let's watch it. They've been fooling us for years, y'all, with green screen. Boom, that was the glitch. So somebody must have hit somebody must have did something, but it fucked their green screen up for like 5 seconds. It was actually less than that. That was like 3 seconds. It was like 3 seconds they had a glitch, and you can see his ass ain't in space. This is green screen, and guess what, Irene? They taking $70 million a day from us. The space program is their biggest cash cow, and they doing it with just green screen and you believing in it. That ought to make you get mad right there. You know how much money $70 million a day can do for the children? We on these channels every day talking about how the government robbing us. And I'm telling y'all, this is one of the biggest cash cows, and it's easily debunked right now. Look at here. Look at this crap. What you do in the dark gonna come to light. Look at that. And I'm familiar with that kind of glitch because I use green screen myself.
Can you do it again? Can I watch it again?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep playing it and looping it. Because that right there messed them up bad. That messed them up bad. And NASA doing the same thing. CGI, green screen, faking space. Flat earthers are onto it. And this is the new awakening. This is the next step for the revolution, because space programs are the most lucrative programs, man. Every country got one, deceiving their people. All of these countries are connected. The wars are funded by both sides. North Korea is not our enemy. These guys sip tea together and get your children to go kill each other. And you think you ain't in a matrix, everything is staged and screened. So do we have any more questions about satellites or I think ABL asked, why is the sky domed but the ground is not? Well, you're looking at an image of the Mayan cosmos. Ask the creator that. You know, why is my fingernail got hard but my hair is soft? Why is my eyeballs football shaped but my dangling is a pole shape? Hey, I don't know. I don't know. That's the way the Most High did them shapes. But what I know is that the ground I'm walking on ain't no ball. That's a fact, because I go outside every day, and the horizon is flat. And the only way that horizon would be a ball is just somebody making me believe something that ain't true. Somebody saying, hey, I went up high enough to see it turn into a ball. Well, I didn't go, so why should I believe you? Irene, if I say I talk to invisible people, that's my reality. Would you incorporate it into yours? No, you wouldn't. That's not scientific. So what we can prove is a flat horizon, and we can prove it from 20 miles high. I just showed y'all a picture. Now, if we can get a flat horizon at eye level from 20 miles high, that debunks the globe. According to the globe, you're supposed to start seeing hell of a curvature out to 15 miles. And we up 20 miles high, and it looked like I'm at the beach. Do you understand what I'm telling y'all? We tracking? There any more questions, or we still streaming?
Let's see. Yes, we are.
Yeah, you know, I'm just gonna let you cut me off with the questions.
Okay. Somebody brought up that centrifugal force, and how if the Bernard, he said, zero centrifugal force at the very top of the spinning ball, but we should still be experiencing the same gravitational pull. This means we should get measurably heavier as we travel north. He says, if this was true, then as we journeyed north to the top of the spinning ball, then logically we would have less centrifugal force throwing us off the ball. Have you ever heard anything like that? And then also, I've heard, just for me, people saying that the edge of our part of the earth is ice. And are you saying that there are holes in the ice where you can go through? Is that what you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, let me pull up the flat earth ring map again while we talk about this, because I think you're going to need the reference to that. Yeah, this is the one. They made a movie called Lord of the Rings. And the rings are what we're talking about here now. These things are guarded. We're not allowed to really go to certain areas, and it's through the United Nations. And what we call in the space programs are literally that. They control the space that we're allowed to go to. So you can't launch things up too high. You can't go too far out beyond off the grid. All of this is governed by the UN and the space programs. And when you really think about it, the space program is really controlling space, where you're allowed to go, the boundaries. They're relocating people. I don't know if you guys know, but the weather making machines are at the space centers. Let me show you. one in Memphis is responsible for the Hurricane Harvey flood and all of that. Remember that?
Yes.
Let me show you something. You want to know how they create weather? They making rain clouds at the Space Center. Now, sister, what you looking at is a cloud maker. This thing can put enough clouds in the sky to flood out a metropolitan city in less than 5 hours. Did you hear me? Did you hear what I just said?
Well, I believe in weather modification because I'm from California and we purposely modify the weather to create rain out there for the crops. So that's something I think, at least in California, they're very open. They're very open about the fact that they do it.
What you looking at right now, they said that this thing is used to test rocket engines. That's what they tell us dumb people. But this is a cloud making machine. And I got a video where a dude went to Stennis Space Center in the early 80s with PBS. And when he went there, he was into weather modification back then. On PBS, they was talking about how the government was using these cloud making machines to cause floods. This was on PBS, sister. They took that off of the doggone, you can't find that no more on PBS. Now they passing this off as rocket testing while they flooding people off. Let me show you something now. Hurricane Harvey was started by the exact cloud making machine that you just saw. A lot of the storms that came with these hurricanes and stuff, you know, they able to tell you when they able to tell you when a hurricane gonna make a left. They tell you, hey guys, Hurricane Harvey is about to make a 90-degree turn here and it's about to make a crisscross here. How are they that accurate? Because they're controlling this weather. They're controlling it. Now, the crazy thing about these cloud machines, where this machine in particular is in Memphis, Tennessee, is aimed directly at that part of Texas and Houston down there that's been flooded. This man showed a video where in less than 10 minutes, they hit the switch on this thing and it turned the whole sky gray and it started raining. These dudes are playing God. You know what they call this machine? They call it the Thor Delta. And Thor is the god of weather, and Delta is the area that's keep getting hit with these floods. This is esoteric science. Science, what we call it gods and deities, this was ancient science. They didn't have like big words like hyperboloids and all that type stuff in a big vocabulary. They turned scientific concepts into gods. So the concept of weather modification is ancient, but the secrets of it was tied up into a god by the name of Thor, who carried a thunderbolt. Now, that god Thor is the name that they named all of these little cloud making machines off of. Thor this, Thor that, Thor this, Thor that, because they calling themselves God. They are the manipulators of the weather, playing God, and they're misplacing people. People got to get new homes. People, whole cities, communities flooded. People been living there for years and they got to move. Because why? The space program is controlling space. They're literally controlling the space where we inhabit, displacing people and creating boundaries where you can go. It's really deep when you start seeing what they're doing. But you want to go into this in detail, you can go to my channel. I got videos on all this stuff. I don't want to be too long-winded, sister. I know you got more questions.
Yeah, let's do one more question, and then let's do one from a dissenting voice, and then I'll let you go, and then maybe if you have time, sometime next week, we can do another one.
Sure.
Okay. So let's see, who do I want to do? Marcus Love asked, why purposely flood an area? The taxpayer money used to rebuild is in the buildings. That doesn't make sense. Why not use this so-called weather machine on our enemies?
We have used it on enemies and we still use it on enemies. So that why not is a good why not. But actually, whoever asked that, they on the same page with me, because you're right. There's been weather modification tools used in a lot of wars and people don't know about it. Even I believe in the Vietnam War, the Vietnamese was using weather tools on Americans to flood out certain roads where they could they'll have to change their routes and stuff. So even a lot of soldiers wrote in their diaries in different times about different armies that control the weather, and they linked it to God. And this was a ghost army and shit like that. You can research all of this different stuff, mythological ways people won wars. They said was a miracle, but it was ancient science being used. People knew what they knew today, but they got us dumbed down. But you asked me why purposely flood an area.
That's what you wanted to know. Like, what is the benefit?
Let me go back to my screen share. I did a whole documentary on this particular space station in Memphis, and this is called a Stennis Space Center, and it was built in 1969.
Robbie said you probably believe in aliens.
I don't believe in no aliens because
that's what I thought based on what you were saying earlier about us being the only planet.
Yeah, I only believe in humans that exist all around us. I don't believe in aliens. If you're a globalist, you probably believe in aliens. You're more likely to believe in aliens than a flat earth.
Because they believe in multiple planets. So
yeah, you can't have aliens on a flat earth. You're right.
Yeah. Okay. So that answers your question, Robbie.
You come to flat earth when you're ready to deal with reality. But since everybody else ain't dealing with reality, when you start dealing with reality, you're going to get laughed at, right? Understand that. The real shit is the butt of all jokes today.
Robbie is saying if the earth was flat, an earthquake would destroy it.
Tell Robbie.
But Robbie, you also have to recognize that according to flat earth, the earth is infinite. So it would have to be a pretty big earthquake to destroy the whole earth.
You know,
that's infinite. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That don't have to be an earthquake that way out to infinite on a damn Richter scale, because what Robbie don't realize is that if you start digging in the ground, you'll never reach a bottom. The further you dig under the ground, it's just different layers of dirt and rock. You will never reach a bottom. So you go down for infinity, you go around for infinity, you go up.
You know what? I'm sorry. I do have another question. Somebody asked this earlier and somebody just asked it again. And it has to do with the sun and the moon. A few people have asked this actually, and I just forgot.
Before you ask the sun and moon question, I want to say one thing.
Okay.
The reason they're purposely targeting the Delta area is because that's an area that they wanted control over for ever since they was going to war with the Indians on this land. America ain't quite established itself to get control over every area in this nation they want. In 1969, when they built the Stennis Space Center in that area, they went to war with the people. That's what they're not telling you. All the residents in that Delta area was filling out complaints and protesting against the space center. And since the space center controlled weather, what it did was just flood all their ass out. Now all them people live somewhere else. And the space center got acres and acres of land that used to be occupied by people who just was washed out of their houses.
So I have two questions here. One, I think is probably from somebody who didn't see the earlier diagram about the sun and the moon. They asked, why are the sun and the moon in the sky at the same time? And then also the other question is, is there no bottom to the ocean? Does the ocean not have a bottom? So those are the two questions. Why are the sun and the moon in the sky at the same time? And does the ocean have a bottom?
All right, 1 second.
Okay.
So the reason the sun and moon are in the sky at the same time, I mean, the reason you can look and see the sun and moon in the sky at the same time is because you're on a flat earth and you're looking up at the sun and moon go on circuits above you. I want you guys to do me a favor. For those who want to know why do we see the sun and moon at the same time, go to Google, right, and ask Google that question. Why do we see the sun and moon at the same time. And when you do that, I want you to click on that link. I want you to go to the videos, and guess what? Here go my video right here. I made a this.
There goes your answer.
Excuse me?
I said, there goes their answer.
Yeah, the reason I don't really want to go into detail with that answer is because I would really love it if they would go watch this video. This video got almost 400,000 views, almost 500,000 views on it.
Can you put the link in the description box?
Sure can. And if you want to know why we see the sun and moon out at the same time, that's a little quick video that will blow you away. And you'll not only will you know why you see it out at the same time, you'll be able to go teach it after you watch that video. So I'm gonna give you the link right here in the Hangout chat right here that you.
Okay, and I'll put it in there. And also, can you answer the question about if the ocean has a bottom?
The ocean does have a floor. Yes, it does. There's something called an ocean floor. So basically what we need to realize, what is the ocean floor? Let me show y'all something. I know he just wanted to know that, does the ocean have a bottom? Yeah, it does have an ocean floor. But all of the continents that we know, all of our 7 continents, they are all connected. Just like if you go in a forest, Irene, you may see a bunch of different trees, but up under the ground, all of them trees is just one root system. They all connected under the ground. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yes, I do understand what you're saying.
So why I brought that up is to show you the flat earth conception. Like, let me go to it. Here's one. I got a bigger one. This one. All of the continents are sticking above the surface, and we get on boats to go to each continent, but the continents are not separate. All the continents on Earth are just one big ass rock. You see this picture in front of you? When you go to the ocean floor, you're at that big ass rock that's connecting all the continents. Like if you look at this cosmos, what we perceive in the separate continents on the surface, under the ground is one big ass rock. And when you go under the ocean, you go all the way down to the ocean floor. If you walk on that ocean floor, you can walk from continent to continent. Meaning if you sucked up all the water from Earth, we can actually walk from continent to continent. You get what I'm saying here?
Yes. Yes, I do actually. And I actually have heard that, I've heard that before. Like some people think the continents have shifted, but other people are of the mindset that they didn't have to shift, that all of the land is just connected. Just some of those connections are currently covered in water.
Mm-hmm. And you know how we can prove this? Think about this, right? All the ocean water got low tide and high tide, but the inland lakes don't have low tide and high tide. Why do all bodies of water go through low tide and high tide except for the lakes? For the same reason that your swimming pools don't go through low tide and high tide, because these groups of water that we call it lakes are attached to this big body of rock that all the continents connected to. And the ancestors said that's immovable. It can't move. It's the foundations of the earth. So all of the water that's in the lakes, it don't follow low tide and high tide, because that's the water that's little pools of water that's mounted to the land masses, and these land masses are mounted to the great deep, which is immovable foundations of the earth. The land don't move. This is a movable earth. So the lakes don't follow low tide and high tide, but the ocean do. Why? Because all the water that's not connected or situated on these land masses, it follows the natural flow of the magnetic energy field of the earth, which is being controlled by the ball of heaven.
Okay, I know I said that was going to be the last question, but just one more question, and then we're going to let Brother Sanchez go. And he said that he will come back to us. I'm also going to put the link for his channel in the description box and in the chat box, so you guys can check it out, because a lot of your questions, if you're just curious, will get answered on his channel. So Robbie, a dissenting voice, he says, if the earth was flat, we wouldn't have waves and storm systems. What can you tell us about that?
I don't know what the hell to make him think that. You know, I'm gonna just be funny for a minute. A lot of people kill me with these questions like, you know, if the earth was flat, it'll hurt when I piss, you know that. If the earth was flat, Jolly Ranchers wouldn't be sweet, you know that. If the earth was flat, grass wouldn't be green. Like, where do you get this stuff from that if the earth was flat, you wouldn't have waves, dude? Now, let me show you something real quick, right?
Okay.
Let's go to Mercator map, Mount Meru. Here's a conception of the North Pole. You know what happens at the North Pole, Robert? It's a drain type system that's pumping all of the water outward. This magnetic mountain at the center of the, see, you don't even find North Pole maps no more. You got to go back to Mercator to even get this map because they deleted the North Pole from off our maps. And there's many lands around the North Pole. And these lands have the most wisest and most ancient civilizations on Earth. And they rarely leave this area to come beyond to partake with us. And I believe this is the reason for that. I think it's levels of consciousness. But just to stay on track here, this magnetic mountain is what's causing low tide and high tide. This mountain is like a suction, a pump. Like your heart beats, right? Your heart is pumping blood all around your body. And it's contracting and expanding. That's what happens at the center of the earth, dude. This magnetic mountain pumps all of the water from the four rivers that the Bible speak of these four rivers. All religions speak of these four rivers, right? These are the four rivers that's closest to the North Pole. All of the water is filtered through these four rivers for it actually even go out to our world and feed all the continents. So that movement, what's happening at the North Pole, contraction and expansion, is what's creating high tide, low tide. See, the North Pole is pushing all the water outward, but when the water go outward, what happens is this. My bad, I gotta keep pulling this up, and I'm gonna wrap this question up in one more minute. See, when the North Pole push all this water outward, once it reaches the edge of this dome is a magnetic torus field. It's like a vibrational energy field. It pushes the water back to the center. So there's this ping pong going on where the center of the earth is pushing all the water out and the outside is pushing it back in. And that pushing outward and in is what's renewing the water, creating a cycle just like a wash machine, making the low tide, high tide. That's how we get our low tide and high tide.
Define the outside of the earth. Do you mean the outside of our particular, because there's like, so you mean when it hits the ice wall?
Now, I'm not saying when it hits the ice wall, because the ice wall ain't nothing but a physical barrier. We don't know. See, when you reach the ice wall, you still can go for miles and miles outward. Ain't that stopping you from traveling on top of the ice wall and going outward? So it ain't a barrier per se. The real barrier is invisible. There's gonna be a point on this earth where once you reach this edge right here, what happens is what happens, it plays out like the end of the Truman Show. And they was telling us this, Jim Carrey been getting a lot of attacks because he's been telling us the truth in these movies. People don't look at movies for the esoteric science. When Jim Carrey was reaching the edge of the earth in his movie, The Truman Show, he met a barrier, but the barrier was actually a wall that looked like the sky. What was he telling you? Look at this picture. You can see that the sky above you actually falls.
Wait, I can't see the picture.
I'm sorry. I thought I was screen sharing.
No.
Man, all this talking and I'm thinking I got visuals.
No, like, where's the picture?
Mm-hmm. Remember this movie?
Yeah.
Remember how he was on his boat looking out at the horizon? He was on his little boat and he was saying, man, I wonder if I'm ever going to make it to like another continent. I want to see what's out there. And he looking out at the horizon at the skyline, and all of a sudden, boom, his boat just hit like a wall. He thought it was the sky, but he see the sky actually falls down and meet with the earth. Where did he get this concept? Look at here. All of the celebrities know the esoteric truth of flat earth. The sky falls down and meet the ground at the edge of this rail.
Going back to the dome that ABL was referring to earlier.
Say that again.
The question ABL was asking about the firmament being round. We hit that when we hit the edge of our plane, our part of the plane of Earth. And then we can pass that into someone else's plane, the second plane. And you said there are 7 firmaments or 7 heavens essentially altogether, 7 of those domes.
Yep. And what he doing now when he climbing these steps, that's symbolic. When you reach the end, that's called a stairway to heaven. That's why at the center of all of these cosmos is you get a staircase. So there's 2 ways up to the Most High, and there's from the outside you got to go up the same way, like Jim Carrey showing you here. But another way is you can go to the North Pole, which is a stairway system leading up into the heavens and out of this world. So what are we saying here? We're saying that we're not trapped on a little bitty blue ball with overpopulation and scarcity. We're saying that the ancients said that there were gateways and portals in and out of this world of existence that'll lead you to other worlds. So it go back to this flat earth ring map. How do we get to these other worlds? Well, you cannot just, me personally, this is where I bring my belief into it at. I don't think you can physically just go out in a boat to these other planes. But I didn't get specifically into that. If you want to know, I think what these openings are stairways that lead right back to the middle. So in other words, there's a hole in the middle of this dome, and the only way out of this place is in the center where that hole at, but all roads lead to the center, even what he's showing you in the Truman Show. But now, just to make this thing, to tone it down a little and get off of the kind of the speculation about it, we do need to ask where these guys getting these symbols from. We know Hollywood's still a lot from the ancients. So we see the sky falling concept on an ancient cosmology, and with Jim Carrey, we know he versed in the esoteric sciences. And I just wanted to point that out. And another skyfall example we see is the 007, right? And they basically showing you blatantly in your face, because what they saying is skyfall, behind him is a spiral. And what that spiral is, let me show you. I'm glad we can end that this question is toward the end, because I want to really give y'all this. The swastika is nothing Hitler created. The swastika is an ancient symbol that all the people around the world had their version of the swastika. And this collage here show you so many different versions around the world of the swastika. The Milky Way galaxy that they give you is plagiarization of this ancient symbol. But what does this symbol mean? What exactly does it mean? Because this is what, now I'm gonna drive it all home with this, right? I'm gonna drive it all home with this. What does this swastika mean? Like I was showing you with this Mercator map, at the center of the earth, there's a vortex that's stirring up the waters. That's why all compasses is pointing to that vortex, because there's a huge amount of magnetic energy there. And the compasses are pointing you there because the same way, if you fill up a dish sink with water and you put a toothpick in it and pull the drain, the toothpick is gonna point toward the drain where it's being sucked down. So all compasses point to the North Pole, because it's like a drain where all the magnetic energy that creates reality is being recycled right there. And it also caused the tides. And if you look at these 4 rivers right here, that's creating the 4 continents, it looks like a swastika. All of the water surround on the outside of this first ring flows in a what is that? A counterclockwise position. As it exits this river, it flows this way and it flows out that way, and it looks like a swastika. How all of the water flow out from the center and it passes through the 4 rivers, and it all follow a counterclockwise pattern. And you can see that in Mercator's map here. This became the symbol of the swastika to show us this is our true origins. All of the ancients said we originated from the North Pole, but they turned it into Santa Claus today. You know, Santa and all his mythology. But the most ancient African tribes do not agree with the out of Africa theory. Let me repeat that. The most ancient African tribes will laugh at you if you say people originated from Africa. The oldest, most knowledgeable people on the African continent will laugh at you for saying humans originated in Africa. They teach that we all originate from where all the compasses point. And if you look at this map right here, here go the Pygmy land right here, wrote in this map. This is an ancient Latin map, and the Pygmy are short dwarf people who all the Africans said they come from. And the Pygmy said that they come from this continent right here around the North Pole. The maps today don't have these continents, but the people that they calling primitive today are still taking trips to this black stone to pay reverence to the motherland. On the other hand, they got people taking trips to Mecca, sister. They got a black stone in Mecca, right? Where they got all of these people going to this black stone, creating a ripple effect around it. And this was something we used to do before religions existed. We used to all take trips to the black stone where all compasses point to learn the secrets of the earth. They stopped that travel. They stopped that pilgrimage. Now they got you going to Egypt. They got you going to the Middle East. You ain't going to learn the secrets of the earth there. You're just going to learn about some God. See, all of the compasses pointing us to where we really need to go, while they pointing us to Mecca, Kemet, Africa, Egypt. Ain't no compasses pointing us to Africa. The compass is pointing you to the motherland, where even the Africans said they come from, which is the North Pole. So why I bring up the skyfall picture is because where he's saying the skyfall, that's what happens at the North Pole. The sky falls into the earth right here. And if you want a picture of what that will look like before we go, I can end on that so I don't look like a fool with all of this. Let me show you why the sky falls at the North Pole. All right, it'll only take a second here. Yeah, everybody put this in beautiful art. When you go to this mountain at the center of the map, what I just showed you, what this tree right here represents is the actual sky falling into the ground. Now, I know a lot of people gonna be like, well, that don't make no sense. Nothing about the globe and space makes sense. This makes perfect sense when you understand that the sky ain't nothing but gases, and that gases can go down a drain. If you fill a room up with smoke and open up a vacuum portal or a drain, all the smoke gonna go down that hole and make a tornado at the top. And that's what this tree represents. It looks like a triangle. It's a vortex. It's actually a like when you flush your toilet, you see a drain which shaped like a tornado or a triangle. That's what happens at the center of the earth. This is a hole that flushes all of the magnetic energy inside through the donut hole in the middle of our earth. And as it goes through there, it exits the outside and it's being recycled. And the whole process looked like the number 8. Okay, so this is very divine science of renewing energy, recycling energy, how the Most High renews the elements constantly. It's happening right now at this very moment. The elements are moving. The sky is constantly in motion. The ocean is constantly in motion. But where is it going? It's going to the center where the compass is pointing you. And as it takes its journey into that portal, it comes back out, down and around and into the system again. Out it completes a full cycle, and it's renewed energy at that point. This is how nature renews itself, through a drain system, just like you need a drain in your kitchen. So that's why they got this skyfall picture here with the spiral around it, because at the center of the earth, the skyfall, there's a drain or vortex right here. So I just wanted to break down a little symbolism, esoteric side of the things, what they're hiding from us, and you know, the meaning of the swastika as well. I didn't mean to be too long-winded. Sorry about that. I'm gonna stop right there and you know, let the host take the mic back.
Yeah, so I just want to thank you for coming through, Brother Sanchez. Like I said, I hope that we can fit in something like this next week, although my scenery won't be as pretty, you guys, because in a few days, you know, I'll be traveling cross country, so I will, y'all will get to see wherever I'm at. But that was very fascinating. That was a lot of information. I know that you tried to keep it brief and remediate it so that everybody could garner something from it. I encourage you guys to all go to Brother Sanchez's channel. Check out the video link that I put in the chat, and I will also include his channel information and in the chat and in the description box. And thank you so much, Sanchez. I really appreciate you coming through.
You're so welcome, my sister. Anytime, just hit me up and we can do it. To the people out there, I want to just say before I go, if you can subscribe to my other channel, Flat Power TV, I do a lot of these discussions as well. So if anybody in the chat want to email me and do what you're doing and interview me, I'm available to everybody. Just shoot me an email. Thank you, Irene.
Okay, I'll make sure I put that that link in the description box as well. All right, thank you, Brother Sanchez. Y'all, I'm going to talk to you for just a couple seconds. Before we go, I want to thank you guys for joining me. And notice, you guys, wait, I'm trying to read the chat. So I actually notified you guys that this chat was going to happen, that this live was going to happen. So kudos to me. But unfortunately, I was very late. So I'm sorry for that. But I've always wanted to have Brother Sanchez on. There are other people that I want to bring on. Nyla Says and I will be doing a collab either on, I think, on my channel and on hers. And there are a few other people that I'd like to bring on. If you have ideas of people you'd like to see me interview or do a collab with, please let me know so that I can ask them. And we can stretch out, you know, to the far reaches of YouTube. All we can do is ask and see if we can't get some people to come over. I know that it's late, y'all, so I'm very happy that you all stayed up with me. And with that said, I'm going to pack because I actually moved my moving truck up a couple days. So my moving truck will be coming here sooner than I was expecting. And that's okay, though. I just kind of want to get this over with. So with that said, you guys, I am going to go. I don't see you guys talking about anything I need to respond to. I think we're all ready for bed. So I will talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed that. Be sure to subscribe to Brother Sanchez's channels. I will put all those links in the description box right about now. Let me just do it while we're all talking to each other, because I think if I push stop the live, that I won't be able to put it there. So let's see, videos, Flat Power TV Live, that's what it is called. And let's see. So this is interesting. This is probably something I can listen to while I pack, to be real, because I need stuff to listen to while I pack. Things that my daughters can listen to that don't include cussing and stuff, y'all. I can't have all that going on. All right, yeah, and I'll also put it in the description box. So with that said, I'm out of here. And yeah, I agree with you, Benny. Brother Sanchez is awesome. He is a really, really decent guy, and I like him a lot. I like him a whole lot. He's really, he thinks very deeply. And, you know, we don't have to agree with everything that anybody says. That's not necessary. But I think it's really important to share views, especially when we're talking about theory, okay? Because when we're talking about theories, It's good that we hear different views. I know we're all very used to being in school, and in schools, they teach the theory of the age, the predominant theory of the masses. But I think that in all fairness, we should teach all theories, because a theory is just a belief. So if we're teaching global Earth, we can also teach flat Earth. If we teach evolution, we can teach creationism. And so I think that it's really important we allow people to have all the information that's out there, teach it with equal strength and attention, and then allow people to make their own choices. This idea that we all have to conform to the same beliefs about things that are not absolute, I think is very unhealthy. I know that that's the way we've all been indoctrinated in school. And so it's hard to break out of the mold and have like an open mind. But I think that's really important, because that's how we can interact with each other as people and not have beef, not feel that every conversation has to end in conformity or an argument, but just respecting the process of understanding each other and listening to each other and exchanging beliefs and ideas. I think that part is essential. So y'all, with that said, I love and appreciate you guys, and I will talk to you next time.